The story begins with a boy named Angus who was sent by his mother to swim in the sea, but he decided to sit quietly by the sea and spend time. Suddenly, he saw a big egg in the water, so he took the egg out of the water. He was looking at it carefully when his mother came there and told him to go back home. Then Angus immediately hid the egg in his bucket and left with his mother Annie. Annie was angry with him because Angus didn't even try to swim far in the water. Anyway, Angus didn't say anything, and as soon as he reached home, he went straight to the workshop. Soon his sister Christy returned home, and she asked Annie what Angus did on the sea today. So Annie also told her that he was sitting alone as usual. What else did he do? On the other hand, Angus was keeping his stuff in the workshop. This workshop was actually his father Charlie's. Charlie was enlisting in the army at the time and fighting for his country. Angus started looking at his picture while missing his father, and then he saw in the calendar when Charlie would come home. After that, he found the egg in the sea, and she washed it and removed the top layer. He was quite surprised to see the shiny blue color in it. Before the egg broke, Annie called him, so he had to leave the egg there and run home. That night it started raining heavily, so Angus got scared that maybe the egg is not safe in the workshop. He immediately ran in the rain and reached the workshop. But the egg had already broken. He looked around to see what came out of the egg. He saw a strange animal. He went near the animal and tried to touch it, so the animal came to bite him. Then Angus realized that maybe he was hungry. Now he quickly went to get something to eat for him, after which the animal calmed down a bit. Now Angus was feeding him with love, so Annie started calling him again. After that, poor Angus had to go back to sleep even though he didn't want to. Then the next morning, Angus woke up, so he saw that a group of soldiers had reached his house. He went to meet Annie and Christy, so he met Captain Hamilton. Hamilton said that according to the news, enemy soldiers can try to enter the country through the sea, so his soldiers' team will stay at his house and prepare for the battle against the enemy. After this, his soldiers packed their luggage and set out to do their work. Then Annie asked Christy and Angus to go back to their room. Anyway, later Angus went to the library, so that he can find a book about this strange animal. As soon as he found the book, he went straight to the workshop. But everything was messed up there, and that animal was trying to bite Charlie's shoes. Angus understood that he was hungry, so he went to the kitchen to get food. But the soldier's cook, Sergeant Strunk, stopped him there, and said that he is not allowed to come here. Angus said that he should eat a little, but Strunk didn't pay attention to him. Then Angus asked him that can't he go to throw the trash in the kitchen? Hearing this, Strunk immediately agreed. And then Angus fed his new friend all the leftover food from the kitchen. Angus was very happy to see him eating, and he named this animal Crusoe. After this, he started reading about this animal, but he didn't get any special information. In some time, Crusoe ate all the food, so Angus filled the trash can with water, so that Crusoe can swim in it. On the other hand, Hamilton was preparing his men for the enemy's attack. He wanted them to be ready to face the attack at any moment. On the other hand, Angus left Crusoe alone in the workshop and came back, so that Annie doesn't doubt him. But later we see that a man named Lewis came to this city. Then he went to meet Annie, who was in the workshop at that time. He said that he wants to work in this workshop. When Annie asked for that man's work, he said that he will have to clean the entire workshop. So Lewis immediately got busy. During this time, he also took out that trash can from the workshop, in which Angus hid Crusoe. As soon as Angus saw this, he immediately ran to stop Lewis. But Crusoe was not there. Then Angus asked Lewis who he was and what he was doing in the workshop. Angus said that this is his father's workshop, and he is going to return soon from the war. Then Lewis said that your father can return and do whatever he wants, but until he comes back, he is the owner of this workshop. Hearing this, Angus came out of the workshop and started looking for Crusoe. We see that Crusoe had entered Angus's house, and as soon as he saw him, the dog of this trunk, Churchill, started running after him. Fortunately, Churchill was tied to the chain, so he was unsuccessful in eating Crusoe. Here Crusoe ran to the bathroom. At the same time, when Christy entered the bathroom, she screamed loudly and ran up the stairs. Hearing her screams, Angus immediately understood that Christy had seen Crusoe. So he calmed down Christy and told her that Crusoe is his pet, which he found on the seashore from an egg. Christy was still very scared, but Angus promised her not to tell Annie, because Crusoe does not harm anyone. On the other hand, Annie came to meet Lewis in the workshop. She had brought some clothes of her husband with her, which she gave to Lewis. Seeing this, Lewis asked if Charlie would not return. On this, Annie said with a heavy heart that he would never come back. On this, Lewis asked that Angus was telling me that his father was going to return from the war, to which Annie replied that Angus is still a child. The truth was that Charlie died due to the sinking of the ship in the sea. Anyway, she asked Lewis for help in fixing the leakage in the bathroom. When Lewis came home to fix it, we see that it was the same bathroom, in which Angus and Christy had hidden Crusoe. As soon as Lewis knocked on the door, they tried to stop him from coming inside. But after a long time, when he did not come out, Lewis said that he would complain to Annie. Finally, Christy forcibly opened the door. Lewis came inside and said that he has come to fix the leakage. But when he suddenly looked at Crusoe, he was very scared. He asked in fear, "What is this?" So Angus told him the whole story of Crusoe. When Lewis tried to touch him while looking at him, Crusoe suddenly came to bite him. Anyway, Lewis said that Crusoe looks like a seahorse. The seahorse is one of the rarest animals in the world. It is said that there is only one seahorse on the earth at one time. After the death of a seahorse, a new egg breaks, from which a new horse will be born again. Then Lewis told him about the magical powers of the seahorse. But then suddenly Annie knocked on the door. Now Angus asked Lewis for help in hiding Crusoe, because Annie will never allow him to keep him at home, after which Lewis agreed to help him. Then as soon as Annie came inside, she did not see Crusoe, although Crusoe was looking out, but Lewis handled the matter somehow. After this, Annie came out and met Hamilton. He invited Annie to join the army dinner. Later that night, Lewis told Angus that he should bring Crusoe back to the sea, because that is his real home. But Angus was not ready for this at all. He said that Crusoe's real place is only with me. Soon the army dinner started at home. Then Angus had to leave Crusoe in the bathroom for some work, and he forgot to close the door by mistake. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Crusoe ran away again. On the other hand, Strunk's dog Churchill smelled Crusoe, so he started looking for him like crazy. As soon as he saw Crusoe, he started following him around the house. Meanwhile, he climbed on the dinner table and all of the dinner was ruined, although everyone else only saw Churchill. Poor Churchill will get a good beating today. Here Crusoe ran and jumped straight into the fountain, where he got a lot of fish to eat. There Angus was looking for Crusoe all around. That's when Lewis told him to go back home, because Annie was very upset about what happened at the dining table. Lewis assured him that he would find Crusoe and bring him home safely. Then Angus went back home, and after a lot of searching, Lewis found Crusoe near the fountain. But now he was much bigger than before. Lewis immediately called Angus, and when Angus saw Crusoe, he also understood that it was time to leave Crusoe in the sea again. Then he put Crusoe behind the truck and left for the sea. Anyway, they soon reached the seaside and finally left Crusoe in the water. Angus was very sad to be separated from Crusoe, but he had no other choice. That's why he decided to let Crusoe go. Then the next day we see a man named Jimmy, who went to catch fish in the sea with his friend Hugh. Suddenly Hugh felt that there was a big fish stuck in his rope, but as soon as he pulled the rope, his boat started getting stuck in the water. Then suddenly a huge Crusoe came in front of him. As soon as he saw him, both of them fainted. But Hugh still wanted to catch this animal, because in return, he could more earn of rupees and become rich. Jimmy did not agree to this, and here Crusoe dragged him away from the shore. Finally, Jimmy cut the rope and saved his life. And then he saw Crusoe again. He could not believe his eyes, because he had never seen or heard of such a strange and poor animal. On the other hand, Hamilton told Angus that his mother wants him to start training to join the army, after which Angus started helping the soldiers in their work. But in a few days he got bored of all this. One day he escaped from Captain Hamilton and ran towards the sea. He called out to Crusoe a lot, but he was nowhere to be seen. Then he sat in a boat and went to find him himself. In a while, Crusoe came out of the water and came in front of him, and Angus was amazed to see his huge form. After this, he jumped and sat on his special friend's back. Although he was very scared, but Crusoe took him to the sea, in which he had a lot of fun. When Crusoe came to leave Angus on the shore, at that time, Strunk's dog Churchill was also present there, and he smelled Crusoe. Strunk was also with Churchill, so when Churchill ran towards the shore, he also reached there. He had never seen a big, strange, poor animal like Crusoe before. He couldn't believe his eyes even if he wanted to. Here at night, Angus told Christy and Lewis about their sea trip. Hearing this, they were very happy. From the outside, Annie saw them laughing and she started going back. Then Lewis saw him, and he also followed him. Then Annie thanked Lewis, because today, because of him, she saw her children laughing openly after a long time. On this, Lewis laughed and ignored him. On the other hand, we see that Jimmy told a reporter named Jock about that strange, poor animal found in the sea. After hearing this, Jock thought that he can bring investors to the city through this, because tourists will be interested in seeing such unique animals. But Hugh said that the city is as it is. But Jock said that if there is a dangerous animal in the sea, then the common people should know about it. They have every right to know. The next day, Hamilton brought Annie and her children to the top of a mountain so that he could show them the preparation of his army. He wanted to show them a sample of weapons used against enemies. Now the captain asked his men to present a sample of attacking enemies hidden in the water. Hearing this, Angus realized that this could endanger the lives of the crew, so that's why he asked Annie to stop the soldiers. Annie couldn't understand what he was saying, and he told Angus to stand quietly. Then Christy told Annie that Angus was telling the truth, but Annie didn't listen to him either. Here the soldiers started attacking in the water, and the Crusoe was very scared. He was trying very hard to escape from these deadly attacks. On the other hand, Jimmy and Jock were at the seaside to take a picture of the Crusoe today, but they couldn't get a single glimpse of the Crusoe. Then they made a fake statue of the Crusoe and clicked the picture, and published it in the newspaper the next day. A few days later, when Strunk read the newspaper, he remembered that he was the same dangerous animal he had seen at the seaside. Then Strunk and the rest of the soldiers decided to find the Crusoe together. That night, Christy went to Angus's room, and then they both ran away from home with Lewis, so that they can see that the Crusoe is safe. As soon as they reached the seaside, Angus called out to the Crusoe. At first, the Crusoe didn't come out, but when he came, he was wild and uncontrollable. He didn't even recognize Angus and tried to eat him. Seeing this, Angus and Lewis were surprised because they didn't understand what was going on. Soon the Crusoe went back into the water, and then Angus accused Lewis of all this, because he had left the Crusoe in the sea at his behest. Here, Strunk and his fellow soldiers were in search of the Crusoe in their boat. Today, they had come with the intention of killing the Crusoe. As soon as they reached the shore, they heard the roar of Churchill. Strunk understood that Churchill must have seen something. That's why he ordered the boat to go in the direction of the roar. But then the Crusoe bit Churchill alive, and once again, peace was restored on all four sides. The soldiers didn't understand what was going on, and they fired bullets in that direction. But then the Crusoe hit their boat and dropped them all in the water. On the other hand, when Hamilton heard about the shooting in the sea, he thought that the enemies had attacked him. He immediately ordered all the soldiers to attack the enemies. Then he asked Annie to hide in the house with the children. Then Annie saw Christy and asked her where Angus was. Christy said that he is not at home. Hearing this, Annie was very scared, and she said that she can't leave Angus alone in a situation like a war. That's why she insisted and left for the sea with Hamilton. Hamilton tried to explain to her a lot, but Annie was not willing to listen. That's why he had to take Annie with him. On the other hand, Crusoe was completely out of control in the sea, and he picked up the trunk in his mouth. Then Angus reached there at the right time, and he tried to stop Crusoe, but Crusoe didn't listen to him. Now Angus got into the water to get close to him, but suddenly his foot slipped, and he started drowning. Seeing this, Crusoe left the trunk and came to save Angus's life. He immediately brought Angus to the shore, but now Angus was unconscious. Lewis and Crusoe tried to bring him back to consciousness, but there was no movement in his body. Anyway, they didn't give up, and finally Angus came to his senses. Now he was very happy to see Crusoe as before. On the other hand, Captain Hamilton got the news that he did not find any clue about the enemy's boats. But still he told the soldiers to keep attacking in the water. Soon he also reached the shore. But at the same time, Crusoe hid in the water again. Annie ran to her son Angus, and she was very happy to see him safe and sound. Angus tried to explain everything to her about Crusoe. But now Annie got angry, and she told Angus to get out of his imaginary world. But at the same time, Crusoe came out of the water, and finally Annie realized that Angus was telling the truth. Hamilton was also shocked to see such a huge animal. But then suddenly, according to Hamilton's orders, the soldiers started attacking in the water. So Angus sat on Crusoe's back, so that he could show him the way and take him away from the soldiers. Seeing this, Annie got very scared, and she told Hamilton to stop the attack at the same time. Hamilton tried to talk to his soldiers, but the radios stopped working. Now Hamilton, Lewis and Annie sat in a boat and went after Angus. There, with the help of Angus, Crusoe was avoiding the soldiers' attack. But as soon as he was about to go away from them, the soldiers set up a trap in the water, which they had laid out for the enemies. Unfortunately, Crusoe could not cross the net on time. Here Hamilton's boat reached Crusoe, and Lewis asked Angus to jump in the boat. Then Angus said before he left Crusoe that he was his best friend, and he will always remember him. After that, he jumped in the water and got back on the boat. Here Crusoe entered the water and then crossed the net with a great jump. Seeing this, Angus and his other companions were very happy, because now Crusoe was safe from the soldiers' attack. So did you really like this story, or was it a little childish? Do tell us in the comments so that we can bring you better movies in the future. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.